There was plenty of other news being made during the third week of the legislative session. With more on that, I sat down with Quorum Call publisher Shawn Ashley at the state capitol. Shawn, we talked about the House education bills. Let's talk about the Senate. A committee has advanced two bills that could dramatically alter how public school is funded. Give us the details on that.
Yes, one of those bills is Senate Bill 527 by Senate Education Chair Adam Pugh. This bill modifies the state aid formula. Now, every year we talk about the large amounts of money that are appropriated to the State Department of Education, and a large portion of that money flows through the state aid formula in order to be allocated to local school districts. This would change some of the calculations in that formula, and Senator Pugh said what it attempts to do is focus on those areas that state policymakers are particularly interested in: early childhood education, particularly literacy, and making sure students are reading at grade level by the time they finish the third grade. Another one of those bills is Senate Bill 531, which was presented by Senator Jessica Garvin. This bill, the Rewarding Student Outcomes Act, modifies the state's A to F grading scale and really focuses on improvements in those grades over a period of time and offers school districts incentives in order to make those improvements. Senator Pugh pointed out that right now the grading scale just provides a snapshot in time, but this would encourage local districts to work to improve those schools, and when they do, they would be rewarded for doing so.
Cherokee Principal Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr., who's actually up for re-election this year, addressed both the House and Senate this week. What was his message to lawmakers?
Well, the chief talked about some of the projects that the state and his tribe have worked on together and improvements that have been made throughout the Cherokee Nation, often working hand in hand with the state. He reminded them too that they should look back at the state's history as well as that of the Cherokee Nation and see the positives as well as the negatives and work together to focus on positive efforts in the years to come.
Now, there's some proposed legislation that is passed out of committee that will require state and local officials to disclose if they have an interest in a medical marijuana business. Is that more common than we thought?
Apparently it is. House Bill 1616 by Representative Randy Worthen would require that disclosure in order to avoid conflicts of interest. There's at least one incident involving the Tulsa City Council in which they were talking about local regulations where one of the councilors at that time was the owner in a medical marijuana dispensary. Now, we don't know exactly how many other instances there may be across the state of Oklahoma, but Representative Worthen's bill would require that those disclosures be made in order to avoid those conflicts of interest.
Shawn, is there any chance that recent college graduates will receive at least some temporary tax relief once they get out of school?
That is certainly being discussed. House Bill 2138 by Representative Kevin McDougal would exempt from income up to $75,000 per year for 2 years income of new graduates from Oklahoma institutions of higher education and from career tech schools as a means of encouraging those individuals to remain in Oklahoma and take jobs here. One of the big focuses of this legislative session is workforce development, and we're seeing a lot of proposals in order to help recruit individuals to remain in the state and retain them over time. Representative McDougal talked about this idea during a summer and fall interim study in which he said one of the best ways to do it may simply be to eliminate the state income tax for a period of time, and that's what this bill does.
So Shawn, this week a lot of focus on education, but what else is on your radar right now?
Well, Thursday, March 2nd is the deadline for bills to be heard in committee of their chamber of origin. And this is a very busy time where we'll often see new proposals and new language, so that's what we'll be watching for.
Shawn Ashley, publisher of Quorum Call, thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.